one of the characters that you kind of align with because he's there the entire time gets in a fight with this German guy and tries to stab him, and then the dude takes the knife and like slowly pushes it into his chest and is like telling him to be quiet. That is the most disturbing fucking scene of that movie for me.
That was tough to watch.
And even now, I have a problem with that scene. Like, I can't watch it. I mean, and my favorite scene is the end where Tom Hanks, just says, earn this. And then, like, they basically died for him to save his life. And they say, earn this. And then you see Matt Damon, and then he basically transforms into that older man at his Tom Hanks's grave saying, thank you. I hope that I lived my life well enough for you to make you proud for doing all that for me.
And that was at Arlington, wasn't it?
It was and it was just that was an amazing way to end the movie. It's so well done.
And I've been to Arlington, and
I have not been. I want to
see that, and it's like you would never think like people want to go to see a graveyard, but because it's so historic and so many fallen soldiers are there, it just becomes a place of just utter respect. And seeing it so many times in film, being there, I think it's another aspect that makes you humble.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And to respect our military, even more, especially the changing of the guard, which is, the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, which is soldiers patrol that area 24 hours a day. And I watched them switch. And it's just an unbelievable ceremony. Like, I would call it a ceremony for lack of a better word, but it's so perfect in terms of what they do. And that's dedication. They're constantly walking it. That's their job. And it's so powerful. And even if I don't go to see it again, it was extremely unbelievable to see and to witness, and then to look back on something at the end of Saving Private Ryan. We know it's that much more meaningful to me now that I've actually been there in person.
Yeah. That's something I definitely want to see at some point. I mean, there's a couple. We only have a couple, more minutes left because I don't want to go too long on this. But there's some movies that we're not going to get to today that I definitely think need to be mentioned. So I'm just going to throw them out. I thought there was a Lethal Weapon 3 came out in the 90s, which I did see at the drive-in. Obviously, that was cool. You have stuff like Total Recall, Braveheart, Die Hard. There's also American Beauty, and there's also two other movies that are. There's so many, but there's a
Jurassic
couple,
Park and 7.
Well, yeah, Jurassic Park and 7. There's also the Shawshank Redemption.
Yep,
which was great. And then there's, just to kind of bring it full circle for a second, is Star Wars: The Phantom Menace came out in 1999, and here we are, 2 weeks away from Star Wars: The Force Awakens. So, who would think, that was The Phantom Menace Episode 1. We have since had Episode 2 and 3, and now we're going into the 7th installment of the Star Wars series.
And I find it so interesting, too, that, Empire Strikes Back, I think I was 4.
Yeah.
In Force Awakens, my daughter's 4. So Star Wars really has spanned so many years.
Right.
And I don't know if they're going to do like 10, 11, and 12. If they ever do, who knows? I wouldn't put it past them.
Well, I think they want to.
Could.
I think they want to do 2 more.
They could just. Well, they'll do like. I'm sorry. Yeah.
It'll be
4, 5, 6.
7,
No,
8, 9.
7, 8, 9. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like imagine if they do the 10, 11, and 12. They're like running this across years. But I'm excited to see the new Star Wars. We were talking earlier. I keep forgetting that. Even though I see the previews, I keep forgetting that it's here because it just crept up on us.
Yeah.
And I think there were so many problems with episodes 1, 2, and 3 that people are really hoping, because these 3 follow the classics, the ones you and I grew up on. Star Wars, The New Hope,
right?
Even though we don't call it that, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. That these next films will follow that suit. And I feel very optimistic about it. I hope we get to go see it on that Monday. It's going to be pretty awesome.
I definitely want to see it.
And I like it because I don't know much about the plot, which is nice. I'm not trying to look at anything on this one. I want to go in. I know who the characters are from some things from the magazines I've gotten, and just from the trailers that I've seen. And I'm just hoping that nothing gets spoiled before that Monday. I'm really interested to see what they do with this, and I wonder if they're going to actually kill off like a Han Solo or Princess
Well,
Leia
I mean, we
or
don't
Luke
know.
Skywalker. I wonder.
Who knows? I mean, it's one of those things where it's been kept so quiet, and there's been no like advanced screenings.
In this day and age, it's surprising,
and it is very surprising. They also just released the rating like last Wednesday. It was PG-13,
and it still says it's not yet been rated. I'm like, it has
that
to
must
be
have been older.
PG-13.
It is PG-13 that was
PG-13.
officially released, so it's got to be an older commercial. But I mean, as much as Cooley and I talk about, Star Wars when it was first announced, and as we're getting closer, there's theories and things, but I try to stay away from those because, I don't want to know too much going in. I kind of want to go in there and be surprised as the things that are gonna happen. And I know that we're getting to the end of this, but I need to bring this movie up because I know that you want to talk about it because it was a 90s movies. And guys, we are in December, so let's talk about Die Hard for a second. Because I know
I told you in the earlier one of my favorite Christmas movies. And I said earlier, what says Christmas then? A cop battling terrorists. A variety of terror. I'm not even sure where they were all from because some I think spoke Italian.
Oh, my God. Yeah, well, then you got
Some
what's
were
his
German.
face, Alan Rickman. Who's
Alan
just, like,
Rickman. You had a couple Americans in there.
Yeah.
And it was
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
it was the most diverse group of terrorists I've ever seen. Like
they were like Austrian.
Austrian. One guy. You had the Korean guy who was like the torturer and Lethal Weapon. Endo.
Yeah. In
Go
Endo.
see Endo. He was the guy who eats the candy bar. I'm like, where did they pick these people up? Like, they just pick them up along the way at like the mobile station. Yeah. Hey, come on! You want to go? You want to go to Nakatomi?
Nakatomi. And I love in Die Hard how you have friggin' what's it? Carl Winslow play the cop.
Oh yeah, Reginald VelJohn. Excuse me, sir. Yeah. And I loved Dwayne. Yeah, Chief. What was it? Deputy Dwayne something. That prick. Who's like, he could be a fucking bartender for all we know. But I love Die Hard. I just remember was it 90? Was it early?
Holy shit!
That might be on the.
No,
I think it could be considered into 90. I think it might be 89.
Is it 89?
I hope not.
Hold on, I'm gonna look it up right now.
I feel like I'm right.
Oh shit!
Is it 89?
Hold on, I'm looking at it right now, man. So Die Hard, the first one.
Oh God, it's 88.
Oh fuck,
man.
It.
I'm going to talk about it anyway because who gives a shit?
Well, no, but but if you go into Die Hard, there was other Die Hards that were in the 90s. So whatever, it's on like very.
Die Hard 2 is 1990, which was awesome.
Yeah,
because that's the one he throws like the older Kunta Kinte into the.
Dude,
was it Kunta Kinte? Wait.
Dude, my favorite one was the one with. And I'm going to piss a lot of people off, but I really like the one with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, that was pretty.
That was good.
I like the second one.
Yeah, but I liked what's his
when
face
they're at the airport.
What's the guy? The villain's name?
Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons. He was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah,
but it was. I mean, that was fun. Nothing tops the first one. The first one was just had a nice little comedy in it too, surprisingly. Yeah. But I don't know. It's one of those. I actually a couple of years ago, I actually watched it on Christmas Eve while I wrapped presents. No fucking joke. The whole thing. And I think this year I said to myself, I'm going to put on Die Hard again and wrap presents. Even if I'm not wrapping presents, I'm going to put on Die Hard and have a couple drinks.
Every just to throw this in there, people are going to hate me for this. Every year when I wrap presents, I don't know why I have to put on Jingle All the Way. And it's such a bad Christmas movie, but it makes me laugh. So
well, yeah, we all have our vices. I think when I first saw Die Hard, it was around Christmas.
Yeah.
So it just became something that I associated with the holiday.
Gremlins.
Gremlins. I don't know, these dark fucking movies, but I haven't really started my movie watching yet for Christmas, so I'm hoping to do that soon. But Die Hard will definitely be in there. I just loved it. It was a lot of fun. Ultra violent.
But walking on glass. And
I was reading something interesting about that film when he actually drops Alan Rickman out of the window.
Yeah.
I guess he really fell out of something tall and fell onto like one of those big inflatable things. He definitely did some type of fall because Bruce Willis
I guess that reaction was somewhat real.
It was real because Bruce Willis said he was going to drop him at something, and he dropped him earlier. So the reaction was very real. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. That's awesome.
And I don't know if they'd actually let him do like that big of a jump, but I think he did fall.
Maybe 20 feet or something.
Yeah, maybe something like that. But he was a great villain.
Yeah, he was.
That was the first, I think, thing I ever saw him in. It was the first main thing I think he did.
I think the next he usually does play villains, but I mean I remember him in Die Hard, but then also I remember him as the sheriff of Nottingham in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Yeah.
So, and that was kind of a comic villain, or some comedic.
He's great.
He's
such a great actor, and he played that role really well.
He did. But I think Die Hard was obviously his standout role. Everybody remembers him from that. So, and that's where the yippee-ki-yay motherfucker came from, which is another amazing quote. So,
yeah, it was just what they were able to do in that. I mean, they blow up a helicopter over the city. And terrorism obviously had a much different meaning in 1988 than it does now, because some of them almost looked very comic book-esque.
Yeah.
They really were. It was like a motley crew of terrorists. They didn't really. I'm like, what organization were these people with? I'm still trying to figure that out.
They look like Aryan. That's what they look like.
Yeah, some of them look like
blonde
that.
hair,
you had
tall,
the long,
muscular.
Carl, the German.
Yeah, it
and
looks
his
like
brother.
Looks like fucking Twisted Sister.
Yeah,
yeah.
The black guy who was like the computer whiz. He was American.
Yeah.
Then you had Endo. I'm just gonna call him that.
Endo,
the Korean guy, and then you had some others, and it was just. But it worked for some reason. It was almost like he sent out, even though this was before internet, he sent out something to recruit these people.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, let's go do this. Yeah.
I will say, here's one other.
They would have had a lot more in there if it was Craigslist today.
We got to talk about one more movie, and then we're gonna end it. But
right.
When you're talking about violence and the 90s, and especially the helicopter blowing up, it made me think of Terminator 2. Which I thought was fucking great.
It was.
I thought it was better than the first one.
I agree with you 100% on that.
It was so good.
Not even just because of the special effects, but
just the story. Well, that's the first time they did the T-1000 with the liquid nitrogen and
the morphing.
And the morphing.
Yeah, we started to see that in a lot of movies after they did that one. But
yeah,
that was really cool, and I liked the fact that in the first movie it's just this robot who stops at nothing.
Yeah,
but this one is not robotic, but it's a lot more powerful. It's faster. And the fact that it can mimic people and mimic their voices. And I don't know if you've ever seen the director's cut. The director's cut actually has 30 more minutes of footage in it. And it actually has a couple scenes that I think are really cool special effects wise of the T-1000 breaking down. Like at the end when they're in that big factory.
Yeah, it's like the liquid metal they throw him into or something.
But before that, he's starting to his.
Yeah, you see him change into the people that he.
But even before that, he grabs onto for example, a railing that's black and yellow or something, and his hand turns into it, and he doesn't know, because usually he can control what it turns into. He touches it, and it turns into it. He just kind of goes like that, and it goes back. And he's also, when he's stepping, his feet are turning into the grates.
Oh, and that's cool. I don't know if I remember that.
It was almost like the composition of his body was starting to give out.
Yeah.
And that's what ends up happening. And he also, in the director's cut, he kills the dog. That's barking. You actually see him. He just gets the knife and rips the dog's collar off. That's how he knows to. So that was in the director's cut. But the Cameron one of that is really neat because there is probably about 30 minutes of footage.
And that was James Cameron too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Another great James Cameron movie.
It was. I saw that in the theater with my mother. Another time again when you went to the movies with family, and I was just like, wow, this is really cool. There was no boring parts in that at all. Nice blend of action.
Your clothes, give them to me.
Yeah, I like how it started off the same way as the first one, and Schwarzenegger, being the good guy, and the Robert Patrick being, the T-1000 was so cool.
Oh, he was great. And Linda Hamilton was still excellent at that. And then you got
her shift too from soft character to this hardened warrior, jaded in some ways too, was just very believable.
And then you have an actor, and I can't remember his name. It's going to piss me off. But the African American gentleman who ended up blowing up the building. He was the one.
Miles Dyson. Yeah,
Miles Dyson. That guy I think is now somebody that I always thought he was great in Terminator 2, but luckily I mean, if you guys want to see great acting. And I know that you guys might not be like Shonda Rhimes fans, but there's a show called Scandal, and he is in that, and I'm sure you've seen commercials for it. Some of the monologues that he has given is phenomenal. I mean, he is a great actor, and I mean, it really does kind of showcase his talent in that show because he is a villain. He's a dark character.
Yeah, and he was in Speed also.
In Speed as well. I mean, but you look at somebody like that, and I know Scandal is very can be kind of cheesy and, you know, whatever, and they make it look kind of really drama, you know, I don't know, just corny on TV, but actually a really good show.